If you love you some CZ, make sure you stick around for the whole video today because we're going to be talking about my favorite parts for your CZ, whether it's a little bit worn out, maybe it needs some love, or you're just trying to get your CZ P10 up to speed with the modern era. We are going to talk about my favorite things that I have tested for the CZ pistols, that P10 series, which a lot of people out there love. Mostly talking about everything that's on my P10F. So the P10F is an absolute beast. It is a monster range hammer right here. You can see the size of that thing, and it is a ton of fun out there. And I know there's nothing wrong with the CZ P10F right out of the box, but sometimes we wear things out, sometimes we want things a little bit different, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And yes, I know there's no optic on my CZ P10F optics ready right now because it's on something else that I can't show you right now because that video is not ready and it's not out yet. So we'll talk about that more in a future video. But if you haven't seen my videos on the CZ P10F, the P10C, the P10S, all that stuff, I will link that playlist down below to fulfill all of your CZ loving needs. But today we're going to talk about adding performance to your CZ, whether it's the full-sized or the P10C, which is just all around awesome as well, without impairing function. And I know most of you know that, but that needs to be said because you never want to override anything in your pistol. You want to make sure everything's still safe, usable, reliable, but yet adding all of the performance that you can get sometimes from the aftermarket that you can't get from the factory. And before we get started, huge shout to Blackout Coffee. They've been a supporter of the channel for a while now. It's what I drink on the weekends with my smoking hot wife. I'm a huge fan of their Brutal Awakening. That stuff will get you fired up and ready to complete all of the things on your honey-do list. Check them out at the link in the description. Use code TC10 to get yourself 10% off your order. Well, let's go ahead and get rolling with my top CZ parts here. And bear in mind that I've tested a lot of different stuff for the CZs, everything from barrels to magazine base plates, triggers, optics plates, all kinds of different stuff. And these are just the ones I feel are most relevant and are my favorites. And numero uno is going to be the Apex extended mag release right there. So Apex has a couple of different versions of a lot of their parts. They'll have a tactical version and a competition version. Generally the tactical version, or actually always the tactical version, is going to be only slightly larger than stock, where the competition version is going to be a big honking bad boy for competition style rigs. So I have all of the tactical version of the parts we're going to talk about today from them, and they are great. The Apex Tactical Mag release for the CZ is slightly more extended than stock, has great knurling and texture to it to help you engage the magazine release, work it a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and help you overall with those magazine changes out on the range, again without impairing any function. Made out of steel and of course is backed by the Apex name, which is very well respected in the industry. And since it is that tactical size, it's not going to get in the way, get snagged, get caught up on stuff, or cause problems, most likely, depending on how you grip. With you dropping mags in action or anything, it fits my hands perfectly, and I've got some pretty large size hands. So overall, it's a good part. And of course, for my lefties, it's reversible as the factory mag releases as well. And number two here, we're going to talk about the tube of joy. What's in the tube right here? What's in the tube? What's in the tube? That's the Killer Renovations barrel. If you haven't seen the review I did on this, I'll link it down below as well. But Killer Renovations does some really cool stuff. Not only do they have one of just flat out the sexiest barrels and slides out there in the market today, I mean, legit, the sex factor on these things is like a 13. Everyone loves the look of them. That gray gets me every single time. But they function well, they look good. They are not the cheapest things though, but they do a very different process when they make them. So it's called single point technology. So basically they've completely removed the human factor out of it. So all you're going to get is a machine making these things to perfection. No human changing from one machine to another that could mess it up, put it in there sideways, whatever. They've removed that element to give the best accuracy they can out of them. Then they do the rifling quite a different way. It's not like button, pull, or broach. It's like a single process that goes through there a bunch of times to ensure perfection to like the 100,000th of an inch or something like that, which is pretty nice to know because that's going to give you the most accuracy out on the range, even though we're talking about a pistol barrel. But it seems to be people love to push pistols out to distances that they really weren't meant to shoot at. And those barrels will come in a variety of options, from threaded, not threaded, and then the thread protector does come with it. So overall cool stuff. Again, just not the cheapest thing out there, but definitely one of the coolest. And if you're looking to pick any of this stuff up, check that build list or just go to tacticalconsiderations.com and you can see all the stuff there. So you use those links, it helps out the channel, and I would definitely appreciate it. And number 3 here is again going to be an Apex part, but it's going to be that Apex trigger. Ah, look at that thing. Just good. Now, I think we all know that the CZ P10 series does really have a great trigger out there when it comes to the world of striker fired triggers, because we all know you ain't gonna get hammer fired performance trigger out of a striker fired setup. It's just not gonna happen. You can get close, but you're just never truly gonna get there. And if you don't know, Apex is one of, if not the most respected name in the trigger industry when it comes to striker fired pistols. Even that big wheel stuff out there, the big irons, they make triggers for all of that stuff as well. So they've got a very good name in the industry, to the point where like several different agencies actually authorize or use their triggers, which definitely says a lot for the performance, safety, and quality of the product they put out. This trigger specifically has a great feel to it. They've got a nice wide trigger shoe safety body on there, and it is tunable. If you like a little bit more of a rolling break, you can get some of that action. If you want that hard, crisp, clean wall like I do, you can get that action as well, and that's all going to come as part of the kit. They offer it in several different colors, and that trigger shoe safety does go all the way flush, unlike some of the other striker fired triggers out there in the market. So no sore fingers. Well, at least no sore fingers from that. And number 4 again is going to be from Apex, and it is the slide stop slide release, which is ambi, of course, because it's ambi on the factory CZ. And again, this is going to be the tactical version. They do have the competition version as well, which is the big monster out there. So this one's going to give you just enough to add performance, but not, you know, get snagged, hung up, caught on anything if you're trying to, say, conceal draw from a duty holster or something like that. So this is a thing that a lot of people didn't like with the original CZs. It's gotten a little bit better, kind of on, I guess you could say, like the Gen 2 when they started coming out with the optics ready ones. That slide stop slide release was super tight, and it was very, very stiff on the original ones, and people had a lot of problems with that. Now that kind of wore off once you broke the thing in, got maybe a couple thousand rounds through it. Let's be honest, most people are not going to put a couple thousand rounds through their pistols in the first few months, let alone the first few years for a lot of people. So this is an option that not only gives you a little bit more performance, gives you a little bit more meat to get onto, but again, got that Apex name. It's made of metal. You do have to pay attention to the parts in there though. So Apex has a list on there because CZ's gone through like 19 different trigger bars, like all these different revisions of everything else. So and make sure you pay attention to what they tell you it will work with when you are picking out your part. And we do have an honorable mention, and that is going to be from Overwatch Precision in the way of their trigger right there. So you know I love me some Overwatch Precision trigger right there. All right. And if you don't know, now you know, I guess as the song would say. But Overwatch, again, is a name in the industry that makes a lot of really good stuff, from CZ to Walther to Glock and other brands too. They make some great triggers out there. And it was super close on this one between the Apex and that Overwatch trigger, which generally I really, really love, but you can only pick one in a top parts video when it comes to the CZ. So this is an honorable mention out there. It's got the looks, it's got a lot of performance in it, and it's just so close. But overall, Apex gives you that kit so you can tune it in a little bit. You can do some things with it, and that really just kind of pushes it to the next level. Although I think almost everybody out there would be very, very happy with that Overwatch. Make sure you let me know if you are a CZ fan down in the comments below, because it seems to be that market is growing by the day, second only to maybe Canic. Canic is really getting popular out there, especially with that new rival Dark Side. If you haven't seen my review on that, that thing is angry and it is really good out there on the range. So definitely let me know, and let me know what your current CZ rig looks like, because I'm curious to know what you all are doing to your stuff. Check out that build list. Make sure you get subbed up. I would really appreciate that, because we're going to pass through 100K. We might be there already when this video comes out. I don't know. Things are growing, and that's all to you. And I will get back to your comments. So I respond to almost every comment. If you look down in the comments below or my previous videos, you will see that. So I try to stay in contact with the audience as much as possible. Might take me some time, but I'll get there. You get out on the range and have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And I will see you all on the next one.